Okay, this is the Economic Development Commission meeting of Thursday, October 9th. We're meeting in the Old Town Hall Conference Room. It's 8:34. We do not, as of now, have a quorum, but I'll let you proceed, Mr. Chair.
Call to order.
Second.
And unofficially, we are in order, and then I'll turn things over to you, Mark, to navigate the agenda.
Yeah, I did send out some information. I brought a couple copies along just so you have it. But I wanted to give you a quick update on a couple projects.
Color graphics.
Yeah, how about that? The color printer was working this week.
New toner.
Right. Yeah. I only made a few copies, so. But yeah, if you can look at commercial building activity as measured by the value of construction permits, we're up significantly. You know, we're actually exceeding where we were in 2023 and 2024 as of September 30th. So with a few months to go.
So is this comparing, is this year on year, or is this comparing
This
again?
is actually, this is year to date for 2025, but everything else is year end.
Okay.
So, you know, we're obviously have surpassed the year-end totals for the prior 2 years, which is, if you can see, it's pretty cyclical. You know, you have good years and bad years, and typically after a really robust couple years, you see it down. You know, maybe people are pausing, taking a break. There may be other underlying, you know, economic conditions at play. Certainly, this is not the most favorable environment from you know, cost standpoint as well as lending, but you know, there are projects that are moving ahead. Notably, you know, if you look at the most significant drivers, the biggest one is Fairfield Prep, the new gymnasium performance space is over. That's a $20 million project in terms of construction value, so that is a big part of that. But, you know, we had the Nest in Greenfield Hill, the early child care center. That was $1.5 million. Hartford Healthcare, we do see a continued investment by healthcare providers, both in terms of urgent care and other facilities, but their primary care facility on Huntsville Hill was almost $1.8 million. Fairfield U remodeled both residence hall as well as their library, and started construction, converting the portion of the Dolan School to for sophomore housing. So all those factor in, but you know, if you look at the next page, these are the projects kind of that you've either heard or considered, weighed in, right? So happy to report that despite the ongoing litigation regarding the approval, they've completed work at the Nest and Greenfield Hill, and it's open. 161 Hillside Road, nice project. I'm sure, you know, if you can afford the child care fees, they provide a top-notch level of service. You know, certainly that's something that's very much in demand in terms of child care providers. So that work is completed. If you've driven past the former Exide battery plant site on Post Road 2190, they're starting work. They pulled the building permit, obviously, for footings and foundation. That's part of the construction permit activity that you see there. But you know, that's slated for, you know, end of next year in terms of completion.
It does seem pretty consistent that each boom is followed by a bust, or vice versa.
Yeah, I consider it, I see it not so much a bust, but people pause, you know, so it does take a couple of years sometimes to bring projects to fruition. You know, it's a long cycle in terms of getting your entitlements in place. Then you need to get your financing, line up contractors, pull your building permits, get construction documents obviously in order. So, you know, that alone takes, you know, could be a year plus. And then you're actually into construction, which is, you know, depending on the size and complexity of the project, is a year or 2 years out. So
It does seem like last few years that the additions outpace the new construction too.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't see, I mean, there's, new construction is typically infill or redevelopment of existing properties. There are not a lot of vacant, especially commercially zoned properties that you can just kind of build on virgin soil. So there's usually something there that if they can't renovate, add, or remodel, then it's, tear down and rebuild.
Somebody was telling me the other day that the military site over there near Gould Manor,
Yeah,
Turner.
Turner Reserve Center.
that it can actually be used for certain purposes.
Well, the town acquired it using, there's several means by which you can acquire excess military property, going through the Base Realignment and Closure Act. And in this instance, the town, after going through the process that the military describes, they are acquiring it under a no-cost conveyance, but only for a limited use.
Right.
So it's recreational.
It'll be recreational.
You can't acquire it at no cost, and then you used to be able to acquire it at no cost and then do other things with it. But in this case, it's very limited. So what the town could do, and we've talked about it here, is relocate the Parks and Rec department on Mill Plain,
Yeah.
which is a very viable commercial site. Move that over to the Turner Reserve Center. Possibly consolidate the senior center there too, which would also free up an old school that's in a flood zone. Whether that's a development site or some other purpose or use. But there are different ways to work around it and still adhere to the conditions under which it's being provided.
That's all being considered at this point?
Yeah, I think the next step is really, ownership is 9/10. We gotta actually acquire it. So they haven't closed on it.
Oh,
Part of it is environmental. Any older building has some environmental issues, but I don't know that there's anything super
It's not
significant.
an active use. They don't have personnel.
No, they do not. It's mothballed. So it's just getting us over that last hurdle where we actually.
How big a property is it? It's pretty big, right?
It's a good sized piece of property. The town went through a reuse planning process to consider what it would do with the property if provided. And, not saying it was directed in a way, but I think the promise of acquiring property at no cost probably trumped all other considerations. So it was more like, how do we get the property for no cost? And then we'll figure out a use that fits with those conditions. And so that's kind of how the process unfolded. But there's certainly other uses that were considered for the site. I mean, it's in a residential neighborhood. Residential would be a consideration, but those were ruled out. And you couldn't, under the conditions under which it's being provided, again, no cost, you couldn't then take it and then build housing on it. They would
Frown upon that.
frown upon that. And I think where they're coming from is they would expect appropriate compensation if you were doing something different with it, right? Like
Oh.
housing or commercial.
Well, it makes sense to move the rec department on. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, it would. And then you have that site potentially, which is near a train station
Yeah.
next to the Sportsplex off I-95. I'm sure that there will be development interest in that property
No doubt.
made available. Certainly, Fischel at the Sportsplex, I would think would be interested. But, we seem to be a year or so away from that.
Okay.
So once the acquisition goes through, then they could that's the last domino to fall, then the town could consider here's our options.
Well, I don't even know there's too many options other than, I guess you could tear down build a ball field or something like that. That would be faithful to the restrictive covenants, but, I think they're going to make use of the building. Those buildings are structurally, they're quite solid. The government doesn't usually build things like that, schlocky. They're going to stand. It's cinder block type thing. So, and then there's the garage in the back. So I don't know. There's a couple different ways. I mean, Parks and Recs now has their whole fleet of maintenance vehicles to maintain all the park facilities and all that. So yeah, I can definitely envision a use that would be consistent with
Rather
that.
than being mothballed.
Right. Yeah, so other than that, the only new one I added was 730, 750 Commerce Drive, the mixed-use development, 90 residential. That was approved on the 2nd of September. Was not subject to an appeal, so that's moving ahead. The interesting part of that is that they had proposed, and the commission accepted, a change to their regulations that would allow them to incorporate a public plaza and public art installation in satisfaction of a portion of the commercial space in the ground floor. So instead of developing more commercial space, they carved out an area in the front that would be a focal point for the public to gather. So the Arts Commission was very much supportive of incorporating public art in private developments like this, and hopes that it's the first of many to come, because it's a nice corner property, so I think it would be a great.
I'm trying to imagine, where is that, 730, 750?
So there's two buildings. One is where Rio Bravo is, Pete Penson, who's doing
yeah.
that building. And then next to it is a one-story brick building that was used for concrete testing. There's a landscape firm in there currently, but just a short-term tenancy. So those buildings will be torn down.
Well, that's it, Rio Bravo's going?
Rio Bravo will need to vacate, whether they want to come back later, because the ground floor does include what I would presume would be a restaurant space,
Okay.
which would be nice. Again, opening into a larger plaza.
Yeah,
Nice.
almost walkable. You can go from there to Sally's and.
Well, that's the idea, is to create more of a neighborhood, and what's lacking in that area right now are strong pedestrian connections and infrastructure to support that. So, it's nice to try to link that up as best we can. Other than that, we've got, the auto dealerships that are continuing work. The one that's closest is Jangris. They're probably a month away from getting their certificate of occupancy for that renovation and building addition. And Belize has pivoted. They were originally planning they did tear down the buildings at 338 Commerce Drive, and they were going to build a new dealership showroom and service facility for Genesis. And an opportunity arose to purchase the Devon Affinity building at 26 Commerce, so they jumped on that. And that's, I have plans now they're going to renovate that for their Genesis showroom. So I think what they'll use around 338 is additional parking, a parking field for the Hyundai dealership, at least temporarily.
Hopefully they'll have some landscaping there.
Yeah, it's not the most attractive right now, for sure. So the office building in Southport, they opened the public hearing and continued it. And not shockingly, there's opposition to it's a fairly modest office addition, in keeping with the character of the other building. So, there's a lot of angst, I guess, in terms of what parking and traffic impacts. But it's really small. It's like 6,800 square feet. I can envision a lot of other uses there that would be much more disruptive. So, in fact, the developer has considered those. So, I don't know. We'll see where that goes with planning and zoning.
Do we just have a battery of attorneys on retainer down there?
It seems that way. Yeah, you can't really fault for, they have something to say. I guess you should let them say it. So. I see Ken's joined, so if you wanted to return back and approve the minutes, you could do that.
A motion to approve minutes.
I approve it.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Can we assume you approved?
Okay.
Well, I'm glad he's out of the tunnel, so that's
He's on
good.
the line, so even if he.
Muted, I can see him.
Yeah. So the other things, a couple other things I wanted to note. I don't know, anyone here took part in Fairfield Restaurant Week? Did you get good feedback from restaurants? This was a change in, we pivoted to that last week in August and September, around the Labor Day weekend, for 2 weeks. So it was different. We usually have it in the fall. But restaurants asked us if we would consider doing a summer and then a winter edition in periods, which is originally what the intent was, to boost business when they were less busy. So that period of time, kind of at the end of the summer is when people typically go away. So restaurants are less busy. Obviously incorporating Labor Day, people are then back, but starting school and other fall activities. So, but we got good feedback. I don't know if anyone was out and about or had heard anything, but.
Really bad, so.
Good. And then we had the Oktoberfest in September.
That was good.
Yeah, so Justin there. We had a couple thousand people, I think,
Excellent.
about the same attendance as last year, it seemed.
Weather that day was good.
Great weather for the most part. And, I guess sponsors were happy, the businesses, the food trucks were happy, people seemed happy. Maybe that's with the couple tankards of beer. But I think we've got a tradition going and people seem interested in us doing it again next year. So we'll have to figure that out because we've got a lot of other activities with the 250th commemoration next year. The museum's planning a big shindig out here around Labor Day to help celebrate Fairfield.
Try not to be out of
Constitution, so.
Last 2 years I've been away, so.
Well, see if we can coordinate with your schedule better. But we do have the winter edition of Fairfield Restaurant Week coming up on the 26th of January through February 8th. So if you missed out on the summer one, don't worry, you've got another opportunity for 2 weeks. If any of you tuned into the Planning and Zoning Commission this week on Tuesday, I know it's a hot topic, but they did approve the plan of conservation development. It was a narrow 4-3 vote, but it closes a 7-year saga in terms of considering an update to that plan.
The clock starts from here. It's not like we didn't burn 7 years of.
No, now we have, it would be reset. You have 10 years in which to do the next one. But I think this was a good reset because it was a comprehensive plan. It wasn't looking at just a particular area of town or updating demographics. So
They did a great job of soliciting feedback.
I thought so,
The
too.
workshops. I mean, there was plenty of chance for everyone in town to participate. I went to like 3 of them, and they were full of people, and it was every part of Fairfield seemingly like young families, people who've been here for a long time, and people.
yeah.
I thought it was.
Yeah, I think there was ample opportunity to provide input into the plan. So I think that plan is reflective of consensus within, at least as with anything, you don't get in a town this size, it's kind of depressing in a way, although you understand everyone has busy lives, but the few people that come, even if you get 100 people in a room, which is a big turnout for a workshop, compared to a town the size of Fairfield, it's not a huge representation, but
They did a lot of them, and they did.
they did, yeah.
I mean, I went to 3.
So again, that's done. So the next step would be then to amend their zoning regulations as they care to implement some of the policy changes that were reflected in the plan. 2 other projects of note, and I don't think I put, I did put Post Road Residential in that list, but I've been talking to developers at Post Road Residential for the mixed-use development between Illicit and the Fairfield Black Rock train station. big project, and the issue there is, as you know, it's a brownfield site, so it was once a part of the Bullard's Foundry. They managed to get EPA sign off on the remedial action plan 90 minutes before the government shutdown. So thumbs up to those guys. Cutting close. So they are hoping to close and break ground in the next 60 days.
Wow.
So hopefully, we have talked to them about a groundbreaking ceremony, so I'll keep you posted. It is a very big project. It will be a significant boost to the grant list once completed. So I think it's probably deserving of a groundbreaking ceremony, if any. So I'll keep.
You're there. I haven't noticed, just with the other, like the Canfield, the ones on the Bridgeport side, the traffic is not, I'm surprised that there's not more.
Well, residential tends to be really dispersed, and you can't, the work environment is different than even 10, 20 years ago, where you have more people that are working a hybrid work schedule or working from home. But even, when people are routinely going, they're leaving at different times, coming back at different times. So it's not like an office or factory where everyone's showing up at a certain time to punch in. So it's you have what we've noticed or what we've seen from the data is that the traffic volumes are essentially the same. We just don't see the pronounced peaks and valleys anymore. That peak rush, either in the morning or afternoon, it's now pretty much dispersed throughout the day. So anytime you go, there's going to be traffic.
How many units is that going to be?
200, let's say 250 round numbers.
Wow.
with the commercial piece. So, and which I presume will be, at least one will be a restaurant, I would guess. We've talked about co-working space. So there's a couple different options for
None of
it.
it's affordable, right?
There will be affordable in it, yes, 12%.
So that eats into
Yeah, everything helps. I'm sure, based on, again, the quality that they do here and elsewhere, it'll be a very nice facility, nice if you can afford the market rate units, but you'll have top-notch amenities, I'm sure. The Anchorage gets rave reviews, but it's not cheap if you're not in the below market rate units. But, they've got pretty much anything you'd want and full service. So if you light fixture goes out, you call, somebody's there to replace it for you. It's not. So if you're looking for that kind of maintenance-free, carefree living, you can afford it.
One free beer every day, right?
And they do have a bar with a tap. So although, maybe they won't be as important because they have Alyssa next door. So. But the other thing that's related to that is I'm heading from here, going out to the site for our East Trunk Main sewer replacement. So that work began earlier this year, doing a sewer bypass and new sewer installation over there to replace a very old leaky section of pipe, undersized. But it's a 2-year project, $25+ million project, of which we're getting 4 something from state grants. So I'm meeting the state grant person out there who wants to see what we're doing. So they're busy with work, but it'll be a long haul yet. So, and we have a few upcoming events. We do something with Fairfield U men's and women's basketball teams called Meet the Stags. That's next week on the 16th. Usually do it on Sherman Green. It seems to be very popular with families. Opportunity to meet both men's and women's basketball teams, the coaches, food, music. So it's just a little meet and greet.
The date of that?
16th at 4. Well, I think I have to be there at 4. It's like 5. And then we have the Halloween on the Green, which is a popular event. We are in support on that. It's really run by the Fairfield Museum on the 26th of October. Before that, the chamber, Bev's not here today, but she would mention the harvest market on the 18th. And we work with the chamber on Small Business Saturday. We're a neighborhood champion with American Express, so we usually have a presence the Saturday after Thanksgiving to hand out shopping bags and encourage people to shop local for the holidays and throughout the year. This year, I think we're going to be up at Greenfield Hill Commons. They're going to do a holiday market, the merchants there. So, usually we're downtown, so it's nice to spread the wealth in other neighborhood centers. And then we have the holiday stroll on the 11th of December. So we've got a busy fall coming up.
Good.
I think that would be it for all my reports, including what Bev would want me to mention of hers. And there is one other thing. I think I don't know if we have the date yet, but I will let you know. We're trying to do a small business appreciation event in November at Penfield. And so the Parks and Rec has offered the space at no cost. And so the chamber's putting together something. We'll let you guys know.
Yeah.
So it's a nice way to recognize our small business community. Just a little meet and greet type thing.
A little networking thing.
So I don't have the date off the top of my head. And I guess the only other thing, I know we had a kind of a short agenda. I don't know if you're hearing from folks within your network, colleagues, neighbors, in terms of issues from the business climate and economic conditions,
Higher over
development
the,
stuff.
That Berkeley development.
Yeah.
like
I mean,
Right.
people blame the town, but with town's handcuffed. Town said no. I mean, did not pass. And
Yeah, it was,
Yes.
it wasn't unanticipated, but it was a pretty scathing decision from the judge. Took the individual commissioners to task for not applying the law and, being kind of playing fast and loose with some facts along the way. So it was a pretty good slap down for sure. But I would say that it was a very narrow decision. It was like a 4-3 to reject it. And I would think the three people that reluctantly voted against that motion to reject it, saying that there wasn't a compelling public health safety reason to reject it, I guess their position was vindicated, but they're not surprised by the decision.
it is just so out of scale.
Yeah, it is, totally. And I said this at the senior center, even the commission, when they apply the law properly, no one's happy about having to vote for these things. They don't think that this is a good location for it, but they don't really have, if there isn't a public health safety issue that's supported by the evidence, you can't do
Between
it.
houses, right?
Yeah, they're taking down 3, I think either single-family or two-family houses to
Right.
do this.
And then there's a whole bunch of neighbors right there. Right?
Yeah, so it is out of scale completely. But again, does it rise to the level of public health safety issue supported by evidence? You just can't,
Knock it down.
just because you don't like it, you can't really.
I don't know how they're going to deal with that park in there. Like, it is already, that street.
The only thing I will say is, and again, the data bears this out from history, is that a good percentage of these units never get built, and they get abandoned. Statewide, it's like 15%. We're, 20% of our projects haven't been built to date. I'm thinking that number will go up because we did see a fair number of projects come in under the wire.
Right.
And I'm not sure all those projects were well thought out and that, the developer considered, applicant was considering all the costs because it's not inexpensive. When you do a set aside, 30% of units have to be deed restricted as affordable. It impacts the value of the project, what your revenue, your net income is going to be, and it doesn't always pencil out. in many cases, especially smaller developments, we're dealing with a couple projects right now where, the developer, he can't make the numbers work. So if there's a silver lining, perhaps some of these projects don't end up getting built
The
because.
affordable units over time, is there a rent increase that goes along with those?
Yeah, but it's constrained, it's restricted, so, and capped. So there is,
Permanently?
yeah, well, for 40 years, so
Okay.
for the purpose of financing a project.
Yeah, okay.
It's as good as, because, they're looking at, financing much shorter term than that, so.
So incrementally, it doesn't take, it's not really to consider the increment increase in the rent for those units.
Well, I'm sure they do, but again, looking at what the fair market rents should be reflective of underlying market conditions. So, I mean, there's a lag. You can appreciate
We
that.
just
where
did
the
price
data-
ceilings yesterday.
But they do go up, and they go up roughly in concert with what conditions you see in the market, but at a flatter rate. So it's not as steep. But we have seen some pretty big jumps because cost of living has gone up. It's reflected in CPI and things, and those drive those. So we have seen some pretty big jumps, and even the below market rate, the fair market rents have gone up 9% year over year. So.
Really, not much.
But you're seeing that, so that's what I'm saying. It's reflective of the underlying market conditions. You're seeing pretty big jumps in housing costs, and that's captured in the fair market rents as well.
What is the size of that lot? Is it even an acre?
It's small. It's 40 units. It's vertical.
So we have like enough units going, or we're gonna.
So I just reviewed that with the Affordable Housing Committee last night. Yes, we have we have a moratorium in place through March of 2029, and we are in pretty good shape
Extended,
to extend that for 5 years beyond that.
based on.
So, again, it's great to have projects that are in the pipeline that are approved, but unless they're, what I said is they have to be under construction by the end of next year in order for them to be completed and generate points that we can then use as part of our subsequent moratorium application. Because it takes a year or two to build, then you got to get them CO'd, and you have to put your application together and get it up to the state in time before that moratorium expires. So that's I'm looking to get projects in the ground by end of next year. And then I can count on those units providing points towards a moratorium.
Got it.
Speaking of things that don't get built, just across from Firestone,
The Miller Volkswagen site?
well, no, not that one, that small shop, but it's got like fencing around it, burned down. The one next to the gas station that never opened.
The gas station.
Both. There's a gas station and like right across the block, like if you're coming out from Pepe's onto Kings Highway, it's on the right. It used to be like a mechanic and they sold Saabs.
Yeah.
That's still a shell of a building and it's two years.
Well, insurance,
They put that fence up,
I
but
did put the fence up. I saw some work, but it seems to have stopped.
there
talked
hasn't
to
been any movement on that.
I haven't talked to the building official recently, but, oftentimes the insurance companies take a while to file out the claim. I'm not defending any of it, so who knows, but I can inquire as to where we are on that. It has an eyesore. I drive past it, as you know, to the gym.
I see what was in former Bob's, the restoration, what's in there?
Restoration Hardware
Yeah,
outlet?
they're all boarded up, right? Did I see boards in the windows there?
No.
No.
Something happened recently.
Okay.
They were doing okay. I mean, it's a big space filled with lots of $10,000 couches.
Yeah, really. I know I walked through there one time. I'm like, who's buying all this stuff?
Well, at those prices, I mean, and that's, outlet discount price. It was like, oh, yeah, it's just not, I'm not really shopping there. But I guess I'm not their core,
Bob's was-
I'm not their core demographic, yeah, so maybe,
I won't let my wife in there.
well, yeah. Nice stuff, but, yeah, pricey. But yeah, they don't have, I think they're okay.
Okay. I don't know what I saw
You
there.
only have to sell one couch a week and you're good.
I'll have to have another good look when I drive by.
Okay, well, it doesn't look the most active, because I don't imagine it's a high volume
No.
business there, so.
I did attend the car show at the Porsche dealership last month.
Oh,
I don't know if you knew about that or not.
I heard it was very good.
Oh, it was awesome.
Are you a member of the club then?
I just showed up.
Okay. Well, I heard it was well.
They did it right.
I heard they do a very.
They do a good job, and there was a lot of classic cars and really nice, beautiful cars there, not just Porsches.
I guess I'll have more room to do that in the future at the showroom once it's completed.
And they did a really nice job. Food was plentiful and drink plentiful,
Wow.
and all sorts of booths set up. And there was I got there early in the morning thinking I'm going to beat the crowd on my way to some other place. There was like hundreds of people there first thing in the morning. It was amazing.
Wow. Any other observations or? No?
Well, I assume with the special election being pushed to February and for the first selectman, just the unused property, I don't know if you had a chance to talk to Christine about that.
I have not. Yeah.
I imagine she's
I
busy.
want to talk to her about it. I suspect that maybe that she's got other things preoccupied.
That was my assumption. I just thought I would ask as we're
But
all
I
here.
think, regardless, not that I want to put chum in the water or feed a, campaign narrative or anything, but I think at some point we should wrap things up with, I do think, I've actually had a conversation yesterday with a developer, and, these sites would be very, it would get a lot of interest, obviously, if we made them available. And that's one option. We've talked about other options too, whether it's continue with parking, which I don't know, but, or.
This is so far, I mean, people
so-
don't look at that as a way to get to downtown. Like, it's too far off.
Parking.
Yeah.
In terms of parking, yeah,
Yeah.
I think there are better options. Clearly, you don't need that right now, because there isn't a demand. There's enough parking at the train station itself or elsewhere in the downtown, so, it doesn't really serve this purpose, for that. But, and we've had proposals to park buses there and, I just don't want
Stop.
that. Yeah, you don't want that coming into your town.
5 trucks.
So we've rejected all those applications, but you can come up with a whole list of childcare facility, residential, hotel, I don't know, any of those things potentially could work for that site.
Speaking of hotel, anything new on the metro area there, Metro Center development?
Yeah, well, they completed the first building. They want to revise their master plan.
Oh, that's still pending.
Yeah, and they haven't submitted, their revised thoughts. So it's really, the ball's in their court. I've reminded them that the condition is that, they need to proceed with a commercial component in order for it to satisfy the mixed use piece. And the commercial component we're most interested in is the hotel.
Yeah.
And, they said to me, well, yeah, we have interest from hotel operators. It's like, okay, what's the problem then? Let's build it.
I think Fairfield Inn would be just right.
So, that's where we are. The good news is I have officially secured an easement from them for the sanitary sewer, which we're currently under construction building at long last. And we have the easement for the pedestrian bridge to cross Ash Creek. So we do have a landing zone. I don't have the physical document in my possession, but I'm told they signed it. So as far as that pedestrian bridge goes, the city can now proceed with permitting, which is they needed to demonstrate they had site control on both sides of the creek in order to get their remaining permits to move forward with the project. So at least I've done my part. So they have a landing spot on the Fairfield side. So that's it for this morning. Unless Ken or Don have anything to share. Thank you for joining us, gentlemen. Quiet.
Motion to adjourn then.
All right.
Second.
All those in favor? All right.